As the great poet Maya Angelou once said, you may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. These words resonate deeply, and I believe they can inspire you to reclaim your identity beyond your illness. Today, we're going to talk about a topic I believe has the power to transform your life: identity reborn. The concept of identity is complex and multifaceted. It's been explored by many experts in the field of psychology and personal development. As Carl Jung said, the word personality comes from the Latin persona, which means mask. We all wear masks, but the question is, what lies beneath? This quote highlights the importance of looking beyond the surface level and exploring our true identities. Reclaiming your identity beyond your illness is a journey that requires courage, self-awareness, and determination. It's a process of rediscovering who you are beyond the limitations and challenges of your illness. It's about tapping into your strengths, passions, and values, and using them to create a fulfilling and meaningful life. As we explore this topic, I want you to imagine what it would be like to live a life that's not defined by your illness, a life where you're free to pursue your passions, nurture your relationships, and cultivate your personal growth, a life where you're not held back by the limitations of your illness, but empowered to live a life that is true to who you are. So, how do we reclaim our identity beyond our illness? It starts with a fundamental shift in our mindset. We need to recognize that our illness is not our identity, but rather part of our story. We need to acknowledge that we are more than our symptoms, and we have the power to create a life that's not defined by our illness. The concept of identity is complex, and it's influenced by many factors, including our experiences, relationships, and cultural background. When we're diagnosed with an illness, it can be easy to get caught up in the idea that our illness defines us. But this is a limited perspective, and it's one that can hold us back from living a fulfilling and meaningful life. I remember a client who came to me struggling to cope with the diagnosis of a chronic illness. She felt like her illness had taken over her life. She didn't know who she was anymore. But as we worked together, she began to discover her strengths, passions, and values. She started taking art classes, volunteering at a local animal shelter, and reconnecting with old friends. Slowly but surely, she began to reclaim her identity beyond her illness. The concept of identity reborn is supported by research in the field of positive psychology. Studies have shown that people who focus on their strengths and passions are more likely to experience happiness, fulfillment, and life satisfaction. Additionally, research has shown that people who have a strong sense of purpose and meaning are more resilient in the face of adversity. There are many inspiring stories of people who have successfully reclaimed their identity beyond their illness. For example, the actress and activist Selma Blair has spoken publicly about her struggles with multiple sclerosis. Despite the challenges she faces, she continues to pursue her passions, nurture her relationships, and cultivate her personal growth. It makes logical sense that when we focus on our strengths, passions, and values, we're more likely to experience a sense of purpose and fulfillment. When we're able to cultivate a sense of identity beyond our illness, we're better equipped to cope with challenges of our illness. We're more resilient, more confident, and more empowered to live a life that's true to who we are. Here are some practical action steps. Take time to reflect on your strengths, passions, and values. Explore activities, hobbies that bring you joy and fulfillment. Nurture your relationships and cultivate a sense of community. Practice self-care and prioritize your physical and emotional well-being. Here's some free advice. Take a 10-minute walk outside each day to get some fresh air and sunlight. Remember, reclaiming your identity beyond your illness is a journey, not a destination. It takes time, patience, and practice. Be gentle with yourself and don't be afraid to seek support when you need it. Celebrate your successes and don't give up, even when the journey gets tough. You have the power to reclaim your identity beyond your illness. You have the power to create a life that's true to who you are, a life that's fulfilling and meaningful. Don't let your illness define you. Instead, define yourself by your strengths, passions, and values. Imagine what it would be like to live a life that's not limited by your illness, a life where you're free to pursue your passions, nurture your relationships, and cultivate your personal growth. A life where you're not held back by challenges, but empowered to live a life that's true to who you are. Reclaiming your identity beyond your illness is a journey that requires courage, self-awareness, and determination. It's a process of rediscovering who you are. Remember, you're not your illness. You are a unique, capable, and powerful individual with a wealth of talents, skills, and experiences. So I urge you to take the first step today, to take a deep breath and imagine what it would be like to live a life that's not defined by your illness. Take a moment to reflect on your strengths, passions, and values, and then take action. Start small and build from there. You've got this. And remember, you are capable of reclaiming your identity beyond your illness. You are capable of creating a life that's true to who you are, a life that's fulfilling and meaningful. So go out there and live it. Live a life that's not limited by your illness, but empowered by your strengths, passions, and values, because you deserve it.